You see, we've got the Christmas tree up. Have you got your Christmas tree up? How was your week this week? Was it good? Okay, not so great, bit of a mixture. Well, I'm really glad that you're here this morning. Do you ever like to daydream? You know, when I was growing up in school, my teachers used to always tell me off for daydreaming. They always used to say, Ben, you have your head in the clouds. You're not concentrating on your work. And I suppose that was true sometimes. But I did like to daydream. What about you? Do you like to daydream? Or maybe you have dreams at night? I know we can have bad dreams when we sleep, but we can also have good dreams too, can't we? When was the last dream that you had? What's the last dream that you remember? Can you remember it? You know, God's people had been hoping and dreaming about a future day when God would send his promised son or his promised messenger, and he would make all things right, and he would make all things new. And what had been happening before the Christmas story came about was God's prophets of old, who are people that spoke for God, were painting these beautiful pictures and dreams of what God was going to do. They would paint pictures like where water would flood the desert and things would come to life, and that was a picture of what God wanted to do. Or every tear would be wiped away and every pain would be healed. And there was this future day that was painted beautifully and wonderfully where God would come and everything would be okay. These were dreams that they'd hoped for, but when would they happen? That was the big question. God's always had dreams for his people, and he actually's always had dreams for you, but they're not daydreams like the daydreams we have. When God dreams and when God plans for your life, he's always able to make them come about. And that's what we read about in the Christmas story today, and I want to read it with you. You can follow along in your Bible in Luke chapter 1 and 2, but I'm going to read it from the Jesus Storybook Bible for us, and it's called He's Here. Everything was ready. The moment God had been waiting for was here at last. God was coming to help his people just as he had promised in the beginning. But how would he come? What would he be like? What would he do? Mountains would have bowed down, seas would have roared, trees would have clapped their hands, but the earth held its breath. And as silent as snow falling, he came in. And when no one was looking, in the darkness, he came. There was a young girl who was engaged to a man named Joseph, and Joseph was the great grandson of King David. One morning, this girl was minding her own business when suddenly a great warrior of light appeared right there in her bedroom. He was Gabriel, and he was an angel, a special messenger from heaven. When she saw the tall, shining man standing there, Mary was frightened. "You don't need to be scared," the angel said. "God is really happy with you, really pleased with you." Mary looked around to see if he was talking about someone else perhaps, but "Mary," Gabriel said. And he laughed with such gladness that Mary's eyes filled with sudden tears. "Mary, you're going to have a baby, a little boy, and you will call him Jesus. He is God's son. He's the one. He's the rescuer. The God who flung planets into space and kept them whirling around and round. The God who made the universe with just one word. The one who could do anything at all was making himself small and coming down as a baby." Wait, God was sending a baby to rescue the world? "But it's too wonderful," Mary said, and felt her heart beating hard. "How can it be true?" "Is anything too wonderful for God?" Gabriel asked. So Mary trusted God more than what her eyes could see, and she believed. "I am God's servant," she said. "Whatever God says, I will do." Isn't that a great part of the story? Christmas story. You know, God's dream was to send his only son into the world as a tiny little baby. And isn't that cool? And that baby's name was Jesus, which means God saves. Jesus was the hope that everybody had been dreaming of. Jesus is the hope that we've been dreaming of, even if we don't realize it. He's the fulfillment of all our dreams. And what's really amazing, that all that God dreams for you, and all that God dreams for me, and all that God dreams for the world is possible because of Jesus. Jesus is the fulfillment of all our dreams. And just like we learned last week His promises always come true. You know, God has dreams for you. Even in the chaos and in the uncertainty of this year, He has dreams and plans for your future. And He wants them to come about, and He is able, through Jesus, to make them come about. So, what would it look like for you to take a bit of time, maybe as a family, and dream about 2021 and beyond that if you want to? But not just your own dreams. What about asking God, asking Jesus, what does He dream for? What are His dreams for you and your family and the world around you? Because He's always able to make His dreams come about, like we saw in the story this morning. Well, that's me for this morning by the Christmas tree, which I'm super excited about. We're not far off Christmas, and over the next couple of weeks we're going to be looking at a bit of the Christmas story each week as a family. So I'm excited about that. But why don't you head over, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, to our website, where there's a load of resources and questions and things that can help you just unpack this as a family. Go to www.foilvineyard.co.uk/kids and you can find out some stuff there. Otherwise, have a wonderful week as you prepare for Christmas, and take a look at some of the resources that are on this week's program, because there's some stuff there that you can do as a family in the run up to Advent, which will be really fun. So see you later. Have a good week.